Hey folks, my name's Ed Trevors. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm an Anglican priest serving in the beautiful parish of Christchurch-shelburne that sits on the ancestral and on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. The other day I did a video about my son Charlie's juvenile arthritis. And I talked about how Charlie somehow, in some marvelous way, is able to sing despite the fact that he's limping through pain, despite the fact that he can sometimes barely walk, despite the fact that he can often barely move his neck or open his mouth. Now it came back my way that maybe if this is the case, then maybe humans weren't created by intelligent design, or maybe we weren't really created by a benevolent, all-powerful God in the image of God. If Charlie could be sick, if Charlie could be damaged, if Charlie could be suffering from this disease, for whatever the cause may be, somehow this was evidence that God had built something faulty. That God could build something faulty. Because Charlie obviously isn't the only one with an illness. He's not the only one suffering. He's not the only one with a disease. He's not the only one living through pain. But for me, Charlie's ability to sing, for me, humanity's ability to move on from its turmoil, from its injuries, from its damage, that a person can adjust and flex and adapt. This is an evidence of a broken design or that there was no ultimate creator. To me, this is evidence that this absolutely is intelligent design. What machine have I ever made that if something went wrong, it would keep moving, it would keep operating? What machine have I ever built that if something broke inside of it, that it would adapt around that broken piece? My laptop doesn't. If something goes wrong, it stops, dead in its tracks. My cell phone doesn't. If something goes wrong, it stops, dead in its tracks. If there's a problem with my oven, it stops heating up. If there's a problem with the stove, it stops heating up. If there's a problem with the refrigerator, it stops. If there's a problem with the television, it stops. There is no machine in human creation that I know of that if something were to break within it, that it would adapt around what was broken, that it would find another way. And yet humans and animals and everything in nature, they do. I mentioned that Charlie sometimes can't move his neck. Well, where I can move my neck from side to side, Charlie can only go so far. And so what he does is he moves his shoulders. He moves his eyes. The doctor offered that as that's just a child's way of adapting through a problem. They don't think about it. They just shift. In my limited experience with children in a psychological capacity, the fact that human beings can make it through childhood is impressive all by itself, let alone a child who goes through something traumatic, a child who goes through abuse, who suffers, a child who faces obstacles that no one should ever have to face. But they have the ability to compartmentalize, to set stuff aside, so that they can function in life, so that they can survive through that moment. Psalm 137 says, "I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made." We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, I'm not, this, by the way, this reflection, this is not me telling you, that God created us in 6 days and rested on the seventh. This isn't about creationism versus evolution. This isn't even about intelligent design. This is about me expressing to you how wonderfully I believe that we are all put together. You give credit to whoever you want to give credit to. I think we are, as a species and as a planet full of natural wonder, animals, plants, insects, all the other different categories of species and living thing. We are incredibly well made. We are a marvel. We are a miracle. You are a miracle. You may not feel like it. You may feel entirely stressed. You may feel broken. You may feel beaten. You may feel like you have no idea what to do next. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're amazing. Your ability to survive and adapt and to achieve and accomplish are out of this world. You are a living testament to strength, to endurance, to perseverance. You are a living example for the world to follow. You are evidence of the power, the beauty, the majesty of life. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. And may you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. I pray that however you feel today, whatever you may be thinking today, whatever you may be going through today, if you know one thing, if you glean one thing, it's that you are a marvel. Amen.